My name is Valentine Lopez, and I'm the chairman of the Ama Mutsun Tribal Band. Our territory is directly north of OCEN's territory. It starts at the Salinas River and goes up to the Año Nuevo. It also goes inland, as our people, our members are the descendants of the indigenous peoples that were taken to Mission San Juan Bautista and Santa Cruz. Our creation story tells us very clearly that Creator gave us a responsibility to take care of Mother Earth and all living things. And for thousands and thousands of years, our people did that. 14, 15,000 years, perhaps, and more. And if you think of that in terms of generations, that's 800, 900, perhaps 1,000 generations or more that our people were on these lands. And they were not hunters and gatherers. You know, the anthropologist wrote that we were hunters and gatherers. We were not hunters and gatherers. Our people stewarded and managed the lands, the resources. The deer that were in our territory, the elk, they did not migrate. They stayed within our territory. It's estimated that the deer went no further than 1.5 miles from where they were born. And it was our responsibility to provide for them and to take care of them throughout the 4 seasons. And that's true for all animals. Our people recognized it was a gift from Creator, that it was a tremendous responsibility and a gift that Creator gave us to take care of Mother Earth. And so our people developed ceremonies of prayers to acknowledge that and to ask for Creator's guidance in taking care of these lands. We created ceremonies to ask for His balance in the 4 seasons. Asked that we had enough, that we could provide enough for all living things. Those living things were our ancestors. So we treat all living things with love. We sing to them, we pray for them, we talk to them, and we listen to them. And that's what we need to do today. Today, our tribe is, in 2012, we developed an Ama Mutsun Land Trust, and a big part of the goals of our tribe is to restore our food plants. We have nearly 100 food plants identified, and none of them are available today, and those are the plants that we are going to bring back. There's 8 different types of Indian potatoes, Indian carrots, onions, Indian nutmeg. Those are the plants that our tribe is working to bring back. When the early colonizers came in, they thought that all our foods and all our plants were all inferior to what was in Europe. And so they bring in their crops for all the row planting and stuff like that. And then they bring in their grazing grasses, and that just completely shaded out our native plants. Today, there's less than 4% of our native plants. And when you're driving down the freeway and you look at landscapes, less than 4% are native plants. We're bringing them back. Our people learned that all the decisions we make must be good for 7 generations, and that's what I ask of you today. Every decision you make on that farm, on your farms, ask yourself, is this right for 7 generations? And if you're not sure, if the answer is no, please don't do it. Our people learned that we must have healthy relationships. And healthy relationships take 2 healthy sides to have a healthy relationship. And for that, I want to thank, I'm telling you this to thank you. We do not have trust. It's so hard for Native tribes to have trust outside that tribe. Most recently, the only people that we are really trusting are those involved in healing and taking care of Mother Earth, and people that work to restore the environment. And that includes the farmers that are here, learning how to take care of the plants, not learning, but practicing and applying of how to take care of Mother Earth so it's sustainable. And so we have relationships with the environmental groups and relationships with farms. Pie Ranch is a perfect example of that. Those relationships, though, are based on trust. And it's very difficult for tribes to have that. We do not trust anyone outside that world. And so I wanted to say that. Our people, what gave true riches and true wealth to our ancestors were 2 things. And I'd like you to remember these and apply them if you can. The 2 things are the indigenous knowledge that our ancestors passed down for the thousands of years. That indigenous knowledge taught us and showed us, with the guidance and direction of Creator helping us, how to take care of the rivers, how to take care of the plants, how to take care of our food plants, our medicine plants, our basketry plants, our crafting plants. That knowledge taught us that all plants must take care of a full community. Each plant has a responsibility to take care of a full community. And that community included the fungi, the insects, the birds, the four-legged, and people. So please keep that in mind when you're farming. If you're farming, put some property aside and put it there for our relatives who need it. We talk about historic trauma for Native Americans. Well, our plants and our wildlife experience that same historic trauma, and they're counting on all of us to help them recover. Please stand for the prayer. Creator, thank you for allowing us to gather here. May we share the knowledge and the wisdom and all that we have learned for the betterment of Mother Earth, to help heal Mother Earth, to help ensure our future for the generations to come. Please give us understanding and good vision with our hearts, with our minds, with our bodies, and with our soul. Creator, teach us to listen to the plants and listen to the four-legged and the birds and the fish. They will tell us what they need, but we have to pray and we have to listen and we have to follow their directions. Creator, let us remember to always pray to give you glory and to give you thanks for all that you have provided for us. Let us also give thanks for everything that you have provided. And Creator, please listen to our prayers when we ask for help. And let us only ask for help when we truly need it. Creator, let us value this relationship and this friendship that we have. May they recognize I didn't finish saying what the other indigenous thing is. That's relationships. I'm sorry. The other part of what was most valued was relationships. So it's the indigenous knowledge and relationships. Our relationships with our relatives, our relationships with our families, our relationships, most importantly, with Creator. And so, Creator, we ask you to allow us to develop those so meaningful and important relationships with all living things and with you, Creator, so that we can be blessed and so that we can bless the lands that we're on and we can bless all things. Oh, thank you.
Please welcome our friend Malaika Bishop.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Steve. I was born on Peaceful Valley Farm during the birth of the organic movement. Peaceful Valley Farm Supply, a name a few of you might know of, was born the year after me. Grew up eating cherries on Amigo and Kalita Todd's porch as they were helping to get the farm started. How many of you were involved back in those days? Yeah, all right, still going. For me, changing the world has always come back to food. Food is intimate to all of us. And we all participate in the food economy each day. The way we choose to participate has a huge impact on our air, our water, our health, and our climate. I'm grateful for EcoFarm for being a beacon of hope at the heart of the good food movement for almost 40 years now. And for all of you who make EcoFarm what it is, I thank you. I've been working on transforming food systems for 20 years now, I got into this work because I wanted to stop environmental destruction, reduce chronic illness, and create just food systems. But there's another reason for this work that I've begun to appreciate more in recent years. This is that it helps mend the dis-ease that comes from being disconnected from nature and community, which often manifests as depression and anxiety. People are more connected than ever through technology, yet hungry for true social connection, for meaning, and at a loss on how to engage with the natural world, to the point where people are paying guides to help them sit with trees and walk in the forest. By engaging in tending, harvesting, cooking, enjoying food together as a community, we find a re-entry point into our soul's desire to be in connection to the natural world in tangible ways. And when we do, we thrive. Today, through my work with Sierra Harvest, we build a healthy local food system because by reconnecting with our food, we reconnect with nature and with each other, and we reap the amazing benefits that these relationships bring. Better physical health with less cancer, diabetes, asthma, heart disease, and obesity. Better social health with a sense of belonging to a community. And better emotional health with less stress, less anxiety, less depression. At Sierra Harvest, we work to build a robust local food economy, one by increasing the consumption of fresh, local organic foods through our work with kids, by increasing the production of that food through our work with farmers, and by increasing access to that food for everyone in our community. In order to have a healthy food system, we need to educate consumers. And the main way that Sierra Harvest does that is by inspiring kids in 33 schools across Nevada County to fall in love with seasonal vegetables. This generation, my children's generation, is the first in human history predicted to have a lifespan 10 years shorter than their parents. Dubbed Generation RX, 1 in 10 of these kids is now on psychiatric drugs for things like ADHD, depression, and anxiety. They're more and more obese, diabetic, suicidal, and in the last 10 years, we've seen a 144% increase in the number of kids with autism. One of these autistic kids was Aiden at Alta Sierra School in Nevada County. He had extreme sensitivities. If he ever touched dirt, he'd run inside and wash his hands. He'd only eat 5 foods, and his family had to have a separate refrigerator for anything red, like tomatoes, so that it didn't touch his food. His mom was beginning to feel like a failure as a parent, and she was losing hope. And around that time, we were able to put in a garden at his school. And his class started going out there every day. And at first, Aiden wouldn't even walk in the garden gate. But eventually, he started getting more involved in the gardening classes and touching and feeling things and eventually tasting things in the garden. And he soon became very proud of his garden. At the end of the school year, his mom was cooking sugar snap peas for dinner, and Aiden came over and he grabbed a handful of peas and started eating them. She was so shocked that she screamed, and her husband came running down from upstairs going, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" Because this was the first time in Aiden's life, his entire life, that he had eaten a full serving of vegetables. Aiden felt comfortable eating those peas because he had a context for them. He'd grown them in his garden. They weren't just some foreign object in a bag. That moment marked a turning point in their family's life. Aiden will now play for an hour outside and bring worms to his mom. He asks for vegetables in his lunch that he's tasted in the tastings at school. And they no longer have to have separate refrigerators. Aiden's mom is full of joy and feeling much more confident as a parent. She admitted to me, though, that sometimes she buries vegetables in the backyard because she knows that if they came from the garden, Aiden is going to eat them. So hopefully we can install a garden at their house so they can actually harvest vegetables for Aiden is one of 10,000 plus kids who've been through our Farm to School program. And what we're learning, and what studies have now proven, is that by reconnecting kids to their food, they not only eat better, but they have less stress, they have better mental health and self-esteem, they have more positive interactions with their peers, they're better at problem solving, they have higher test scores, and they have a propensity for environmental stewardship. Don't we want that for all of the kids? Yeah. So when we're able to get scratch-cooked meals and salad bars into schools, teachers tell us they can focus on teaching rather than on behavior. Reconnecting students with their food gives them a sense of purpose and pride in doing focused work. It also seeds ideas for future career pathways for kids like Kevin, who on his second farm field trip asked our 22-year-old farm educator, "How long will you be working here?" She said, "I don't know." "Why do you ask?" He said, "Well, I'd like to be a farmer, and I'd like to farm here, so maybe when you retire, I can take over." We're excited to see a shift in our local food culture as a result of Sierra Harvest programs. Our local grocery store has complained to us that they can't keep our Harvest of the Month produce in stock because when 7,000 kids taste and love a new produce item, they march their parents right in there and buy it. So, if we're going to train the next generation to demand seasonal, sustainably grown foods, we're going to need a lot more farmers. Yeah. Right now, farmers make up less than 2% of the US population, with an average age of 58 years, and less than 1% of our land is farmed organically. We can't have a healthy food system without viable small or ecological farms, as you all know. That's why Sierra Harvest works with new and aspiring farmers to help them find affordable land, very challenging, matches them with successful regional farmers to learn production skills, and teaches them the business side of running a farm. So at Sierra Harvest, we envision a world where organic agriculture is the norm, and small-scale farms grow the majority of our food. Raise your hand if you would like to see the majority of our food be raised from small-scale organic farms. Yeah? In order to get there, we're going to need more farms collaborating and sharing what they know. You know what? I think if we're not going to play the video, I'll just tell you about Sandra. Should we do that? Okay, so Sandra was signed up for our farm business class. And like I said, she had kind of been on the verge of, trying out this farming thing, but wasn't really sure it was going to work out. But then we were able to, through our local food co-op, give her a scholarship to come to EcoFarm, and she got really fired up and came back and took our farm business planning class and really learned the nuts and bolts of, planning out how much you're going to make out of that row and how many bunches you need to be able to plant to, make your commitment. And so she was able to do that, and she has a lot more confidence in running her farm. She's made a big commitment with the food co-op this year. And then after she took the farm business planning class, she also took our organic certification class and is now a certified organic grower. And she's here with her daughter, who's joined the farm. Sandra, stand up. Woohoo! So her daughter Carmela's here on a scholarship also today, and I think David Benson is here, who's the produce manager, who's been a real advocate for small farms and making sure that their products. David, are you here? Yeah, BriarPatch Co-op. All right, so in order to grow this farming movement, we're going to need farmers collaborating and sharing what they know. Passing on the knowledge and the secrets of the success, to me, is the succession plan of the ecological farming movement. In this age when people think that technology can replace the art of truly knowing land and place, we need your voices. I'm excited that Sierra Harvest's work is starting to help farmers increase production and stay in business. But if their delicious local food is not accessible to everyone, then we've all lost in the goal of creating a thriving local food economy. We don't want to see a two-tiered economy with cheap, empty calories for those with means and healthy organic food for those who can afford it. Our vision is for everyone to have nourishing, healthy food. To me, yeah. To me, equity means charging what it truly costs to produce good food so that people are paid just wages to farm sustainably, right? True equity also involves addressing the structural patterns in society that make it hard for people to afford good food. When I lived in West Oakland, I saw how institutional racism impacted the lives of the youth I work with who wanted to eat organic food. One woman, Nakia, often missed work and school dealing with her mom's medical emergencies. Her diabetic mom's legs were so swollen, she could barely walk to her front door. And with a healthcare system that did not prioritize her care, there was no way she was going to take the 2 buses across town to the nearest grocery store. And all the men in Nakia's life were caught up in the criminal justice system. So she was the one buying groceries for the household with earnings from her after-school job, getting cash advances at high interest rates from check cashing stations, and paying high liquor store food prices. For the Nakias of the world to be equal participants of the good food economy, we must work together to create policies and practices that bring equity to healthcare, to criminal justice, and financial systems, just to name a few. We are all connected. Nakia, by the way, is now 35 and working for Oakland's Department of Public Health in their nutrition education and obesity prevention program. Yay, Nakia. I certainly don't have all the answers, but one baby step we're taking at Sierra Harvest is to improve the quality of school food. For kids on free and reduced lunch, school meals often account for 2/3 of their daily calories. They have a right to quality food that helps them think, learn, and become the leaders of tomorrow. And we have another video coming up, so maybe we'll figure it out by then. This year, when we helped get scratch-cooked meals in one of our school districts, the number of kids eating school lunch doubled. Can I see a show of hands? How many of you would like to see scratch-cooked meals in every school? Yeah. So farmers are our greatest allies in this movement for healthier school lunches. And selling to schools, well, yes, sometimes it's a pain in the butt, can be a reliable market, especially if you can find a product that shows up on their weekly menu and you can get to the volume that they need. There is certainly also a place for emergency food, but it should be just that, for hard times, not for all the time. This fall, Sierra Harvest gleaning volunteers harvested 6,000 pounds of produce that otherwise would have been wasted and brought it to our local food pantry, where it was distributed to thousands of families in need. Partnering with gleaners is a great way for you to clean your fields, reduce waste, and help feed people. River Hill Farm in Nevada County raised $6,000 from their customers this past season to grow several rows of food for the food pantry. And Mountain Bounty Farm accepted donations to offer reduced cost CSA shares for those in need. These are great ways to make sure food is available to everyone while maintaining your bottom line. Equity also means giving people like Deb Rosovich in this next video the tools to cook their own food. Because when you can grow your own food, you have more food security no matter how much money you have, right? Yeah. So we'll see if we can get
For
some.
me,
Oh, we have sound.
being out in the yard and in the garden, that's how I deal with stress. You know, a lot of people, they smoke, they drink. I'd rather have my hands in the dirt. I just like that feel of the dirt between my fingers, and that's my stress reliever. My name is Deb, and I have a daughter and a son. I found out about Sierra Harvest about 4 years ago when my son came home from school with a flyer advertising the scholarship program and how to get started putting in a garden. I was a single parent, and going to the store for fresh vegetables was a real hit to the pocketbook. But having grown up on a ranch or farm, no matter where I lived, we always had vegetables of some kind, even if it was just a small planter. When I saw the flyer, I thought it was a godsend, that if I could get in on this program and I could get even a little bit of assistance would be perfect. Shortly after I bought my house, I lost my job. So I'm now working 3 part-time jobs, and it is tight, but you don't want to cut corners when it comes to your kids. So the fresher the fruits, the fresher the vegetables, the better, and what better place than to get them from your own yard. The first year we were with Sierra Harvest, in 8 hours I went from having a lawn to having a full-blown garden. So that was totally perfect. I had my squashes, tomatoes, peppers, and it just took off. In our second year, I had cleared an area on the next level up in my yard of blackberries. This year, we have 4 kinds of peppers, eggplant, tomatillos, kale, spinach, chard, cabbages, cucumbers. My son and my daughter are kind of picky when it comes to some of the vegetables, so when you throw it in the blender, they're none the wiser. And they get all their vegetables and they love my sauce. Having our own garden, we do save, whether I'm freezing vegetables or canning or making pasta sauce, and I have it all year long. Oh, it makes me feel good because I know that I'm putting everything that I worked hard to get to good use. I raised it and I know what went into it, and it's nothing bad, and it's kind of a sense of pride too. Having the garden has changed how my kids think about food. It used to be we'd go to the store and they'd avoid the produce section. My daughter, because she's looking to be moving out on her own, and so she's wanting to get healthy. They're on the internet looking up recipes. I love taking Sierra Harvest cooking classes. I like taking my kids with me, especially Joe, because he likes to get his hands in it and he likes to cook. Sierra Harvest has allowed me to show my children that by putting forth a little bit of effort in the beginning, you reap the benefits all summer long, all winter long, and it's pride of ownership. And this is something we created, this is something we're working for.
Don't you wish you'd seen the other one now? Deb is one of 1,400 low-income gardeners Sierra Harvest serves. And we've seen an 83% reduction in those who've had to skip meals because they couldn't access food. It's wonderful that our participants are now eating healthier, they're losing weight, and they're less reliant on food banks. The most surprising and gratifying part, though, is that participants say they're happier and more satisfied with their lives. We threw that on the survey, just, I wonder what they're going to say. That they all said that. So here's some of the things that they're saying about their experience. They're feeling less stressed and less hopeless. I have another purpose each day that brings me outside and into nature where I can relax and reconnect with the joyful flow of life again. And they say, my garden is now my happy place where I can relax and enjoy nature. And now every time I pull vegetables, I feel successful. It's good for my physical health and my mental health. Others say that it allows them to make time to be a family and work together, and that 90% of the participants share what they're growing with their friends and neighbors, which is giving them a sense of connection to their community and each other. The positive impacts of spending time in the garden have been actually known for centuries. At the end of 1700, Benjamin Rush, the father of American psychiatry, stated that digging in the soil had a beneficial effect on mental health. We're now learning about the specific soil bacteria that may account for this time-honored truth. Mycobacterium vaccae, which live in the soil, have been found to have a similar effect on our neurons to drugs like Prozac. These soil bacteria stimulate serotonin production, the hormone that makes you happier and more relaxed. Studies were conducted on cancer patients who were prescribed time gardening and touching the dirt, and they reported better quality of life, better concentration, and less stress. Lack of serotonin has been linked to anxiety, OCD, bipolar disorder, and depression. By touching or breathing the soil, we absorb natural antidepressants. But don't you worry, if you don't have time to get outside, I can now sell you capsules with these bacteria for only $64.95. It's even gluten-free. Now, if you're wondering why you don't have the same sense of peace every time you walk your farm, it's also been shown that some of the calming effects of nature are tempered when you have a daily working relationship with the land. So if that's true for you, you may also need to get further out into the wild to truly relax. I saw that a lot of you joined me in envisioning a world where everyone has access to fresh, local, seasonal food. By engaging your broader community, especially the underserved in your region, to your farm, you can help them realize some of these benefits and gain a valuable additional income stream. You can get more involved also, or you can engage them in U-Picks and farm tours, harvest festivals, potlucks, farm field trips. And you can also get more involved in the growing agritourism market. I have a farmer friend who put up 6 tent platforms this year in a forested part of his farm, and he's now getting $45 a night for each of them from guests who sign up on Hipcamp. For an additional charge, he also does farm tours or lets the guests watch the goat milking. People are craving this connection to nature. You can give them that and make your farm more viable doing it. Another farm charges $200 per person for half-day farmer and training experiences, where participants get to help with real farm chores. Sound good? We all know that our world is in crisis. And sometimes I think farmers don't get the acknowledgement or credit they deserve for being such an important part of the solution. Thank you for continuing to get up every day and do this critical work, for stewarding our land for future generations, and for bringing health and well-being to your community in more ways than you might have imagined. Thank you.